Hey everybody, it's Travis from the Berm Show. There's a brand new app called Lower 22 Vets for veterans and active duty military members. This app combats suicide amongst veterans by bringing veterans together. So please go check it out. Sign up is free and it's easy, and there's monthly giveaways. You can find the app on Google Play and Apple Store. So sign up now. Thank you. That's been pretty good. It's been quiet, which is kind of a rarity around here these days with kids. So
That's all we can ask for, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly how you been.
Good. I'm in Chicago right now, causing trouble. This is where our headquarters is. I live in Pittsburgh,
Oh, nice.
so I'm all over the place. But our bakery's in Florida, so
Wow,
we're just
definitely
crazy.
all over the map over there.
Yeah. I figured I'd hop in a minute early just to make sure my thing was working okay.
Yeah, it's working perfectly. So yeah,
Good.
thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, man.
I'm eager to have you on. It's because a lot of what we do on my podcast is I like to have veterans on, service members. I know you have your business that's taken off.
Yep.
Yeah, so kind of diving into it, I guess, or share a little bit about yourself, what led you to join the military and how those experiences have been so far. And I guess ultimately, what made you start this protein bar business?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I could start with my background, just where I came from, if that's easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, fun fact about me, just start right off. I'm actually the first in my family born in the United States. So both my parents are from Ireland, actually.
Oh, crap.
So I used to joke with my dad when I joined up the army, going through my security clearance process. I used to tell him, like, hey, I hope you have that immigration stuff because they're going to be coming for it. They're going to be looking. But yeah, so fun little fact there. I joined the Army right out of high school. I went via the ROTC route because, to be honest, I didn't really like school a whole lot. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do college. But then an opportunity came up for a scholarship. And I was like, yep, that sounds great. So I was really fortunate. I got a full ride scholarship through ROTC, did my 4 years, and then I commissioned into the engineers. So I started doing the engineering stuff in like 2010.
Oh, that's
Yep.
crazy. So yeah, to be the first one in your family born in the States, and then the
Yeah.
first one then join the military. Like, what did your family think when you do that? Are they excited, or are they like, holy crap, we came here and he's joining the freaking army?
Yeah, my mom wasn't happy. I'll tell you that. My sisters were not quite super happy. We were all pretty young at the time, but my dad was. So my granddad was in the British Army in World War II, and my great granddad and great uncles were in World War One. Same thing, British Army. So we did have some military history. So my dad loved that stuff. I mean, he was a huge fan. But overall, obviously a ton of support. And even through all my deployments, they were awesome. As you can imagine, of course, like parents would be, but they were great.
It's always everybody I've talked to. It's always the mom and like sisters or like even
Yeah.
grandmas. I get nervous. They're like, oh crap. They like I've heard the story so far, but people are like, oh, at 17, I tried to enlist, and you need that parent sign off, and
Yeah.
and the moms are like, no, we're not signing
And
anything.
that was the strange thing. The first deployment, my mom was okay. It was the second deployment she was super upset about. I don't know why, but for some reason that second one just hit her differently. Who knows?
Where were you deploying to?
So my first deployment in 2013, I went to Afghanistan. I went with an engineering, combat heavy engineering battalion. I did most of the logistical work on that one. The second deployment was strange. So we got sent to Iraq to prepare the Iraqi forces to take back Mosul. And I'm not sure if you're familiar, but that was the capital of ISIS in Iraq at the time.
Okay.
So we had about 2.5, like really it was only about 2 months, and we trained them up to conduct bridging operations on the Tigris, actually. Tigris, Euphrates? Yeah, I think it's the Tigris. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while, but right south of Mosul is a major river, so they had to get across it. So yeah, we did that, and then funny enough, like right as that ended, we got orders to go to Syria. So I spent the rest of that deployment in the middle of nowhere in Syria with a very, very specialized team.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It
I
was
can
fun.
just imagine from like a parent's perspective, because my deployment is totally different since I was in the Navy. It's completely different experience, but
Sure, sure.
you know, I can only imagine like being a parent and okay, now your kid's going for a second one. You're probably happy that nothing happened to, like she's happy nothing happened to you on the first one, and now you're
Yep.
going back and I mean, who knows how long you're gone? How long is a typical deployment for somebody
Yeah,
over there?
and maybe she had that mother's intuition, right? Because the second one was a lot more. Oh God, what's the term? Interesting than the first one. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
much, in a good way. But it was definitely a spicier deployment. So maybe she knew. Maybe she just knew it her gut. But yeah, two of my partners are both Navy. The CEO of Battle Bars, my partner Alex, he deployed to Iraq back in 2004, I believe. So he has some interesting stories from his time deploying security at an oil rig of all places.
Oh crap.
And then my other partner is an F-18 pilot. So he just used to harass the Chinese in the South China Sea a lot. So both very interesting stories from the Navy perspective, and yeah, mine are obviously very different, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, yours is a little bit more hands-on, I guess. You know, being
Yep.
boots on the ground. I mean, I can just my experience is vastly different. I mean, we went to the Middle East, but it wasn't to like get off the ship and actually go do anything. I think I got pretty much drunk every over there. You know, it,
I wish
didn't
I could
leave
have been
base.
at some
Yeah,
points.
didn't leave the base or anything. Just stuck
Yeah.
on the base, and it's like, all right, we're not leaving. So yeah, totally different experience, obviously. But
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I'm almost positive that some of the Kurdish militia guys snuck my guys some Turkish whiskey or something. I'm almost positive. I'm pretty sure they got a sip in there or two.
so that's great. So you worked with like the Turkish military, like hands
So
on,
no,
or
we were
oh,
working with. It's actually kind of presently in the news right now. We were working with the YPG, the Kurdish militias that the Turkish government does not like at all.
oh wow,
They're the ones that they consider terrorists, and we were kind of like, no, they're not terrorists. So that was a little controversial, actually. Working with them was not something that Turkey liked at all. To the point where you had to be very, very careful about being in photos. Like, so I'll give you an example. They used to love giving us their patches because you know how military is, right? You trade patches, and obviously, I still have a patch that they gave me. I have a flag that they gave me. It's one of my favorite stories to tell when people see it on my wall at my home office. But we had to be very, very cautious about appearing on camera with them and showing any kind of even a patch on our shoulder or holding their flag. We had to make sure
oh
that did
wow.
not happen. So it was a tightrope walk for us, and we just happened to be very visible. I think there's a CBS report that you can see us in the background, kind of running around causing trouble, and even then, that was kind of a nervous situation for me, having to make sure we didn't break any rules we didn't know existed before. You know how politics is. So
Yeah, and definitely with like Afghanistan and Iraq, it seems like
yep,
specifically those two campaigns or wars or whatever you want to call them in a sense is they're way more publicized, and
yep,
I think more than like any war in history. I think you could argue that it's like every soldier's move was like telecasted. If you did one thing remotely wrong, like you're saying, maybe show a patch or something, I'm sure if a news source got hold of that, they'd plaster it everywhere and they'd create
yep.
some crazy narrative, and it
When
just
they're 20 plus years, right? So I mean, there's got to be trillions of documents. I mean, I can't imagine that exists for many other conflicts.
yeah, exactly. And then I think after, if at least it seemed like societal wise, like after maybe a few years of it, people were like, why are we really there? So like American public wasn't really, like civilian wise, what they weren't really behind supporting it as much
Yeah.
as previous wars, or I wouldn't say Vietnam obviously wasn't
Yeah.
supported, but World War II and stuff like that were the last kind of thing where it seemed like everybody was gun ho or like, all right, we're in this together, and it kind of
I
changed.
mean, that's exactly what happened in Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
Same thing happened. We got tired of it. Then again, there was a draft during then, so it was even more controversial. But it's weird how history repeats itself. And but I mean, what 20 years? Probably about time to tap out, right?
Yeah.
We could debate that one all day long, but
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
long
I
time.
mean, there was definitely, a lot of upset people in the
Yeah.
way it was done and stuff.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah. No question.
uh, one of the things I was curious about too, because like I had a guy on before, Mark's. Man, I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm not going to say it. But he was in the army as well, and he went the officer route, and he said like, he had this idea of what it would be going to Afghanistan, and he actually got there, and it's vastly different.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Even did you have like an idea, like I'm joining the army, it's going to be this type of experience, and you get there, and it's like, holy crap, it's 100% different than what like a recruiter even would tell you.
Yeah, I mean, so again, like that first deployment, I almost would say I did it backwards because I deployed as a first lieutenant, right? I was a platoon leader, sure, but I deployed as battalion staff, and a lot of guys would tell you, you kind of almost want to do it backwards, right? You do your platoon time, your command time, then you go to battalion staff. But in my case, they were looking for LTs to do some logistics roles, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll go, of course. So I went there knowing we wouldn't be kicking in doors, doing things like that. We were stationed in Bagram, and Bagram at the time, indirect fire by mortars and rockets was the biggest threat. So we went in with that understanding. But I still think back though to when we landed and the door opened in the back of the C-130, and I think it was really early in the morning, so it was just dark. And the only thing you see I saw was the Air Force guys with the green nods walking us out like that. I was like, oh, this was not. For some reason I think it hit at all of us that were new. We just that right there still sticks in my brain because it was just the mountains of Bagram in the background and just that's it. That's all you can see. And I was like, wow, I'm very, very far from home. And maybe out of my depth a little bit, but that part sticks to me specifically.
Yeah.
And going to Iraq, it was a little different. I felt a little bit more prepared because I was, I've done training before. We can train. We can make this happen. We're going to be on a pretty safe, relative area. It was Camp Taji in Iraq. Almost kind of similar to Bagram. There's like some coffee shops. You're not roughing it too hard. But the Syrian switch was a big switch because it went from a training logistical deployment to a combat/combat support deployment overnight within I think it was like a 30-day notice we got, and then we were gone. So I think all of us landing in Syria, pitch black, lights out, no lights at all there at night. That was, even for me who had been down the path a little bit, I was just like, oh, you guys don't know what you're getting into. Because I had a lot of young and experienced guys on the team. They did fantastic, but man, that was their first experience, and I'm sure it was like the way I describe Afghanistan now. That first door open is the one I always think about.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And I've always laughed about this dynamic. I wonder how it was for you, like the officer to enlisted dynamic. Because I know on my ship, it was just funny as hell. Like, you'd see like a first class pay officer, so that's like E6 and like higher, I guess you could say. If there's like a brand new, freaking fresh out of school officer on the ship, man, they would just not treat them good at all. Like,
well, we didn't really have that option, and it was a relatively small team that actually went to Syria in the end. We were pretty top heavy, so it was me, a first lieutenant, and then about only 20 other enlisted soldiers, and the youngest and the lowest rank was a specialist. But there was only one of them, and then the rest were sergeant or above. So we were pretty top heavy, which led to some interesting dynamics because it's top heavy. That can be a little bit tough sometimes. But they were all extremely specialized and smart in what they did. In our case, we were a multi-role bridge company. So Army bridging is not a huge part of the Army Engineer Corps. So it was a very specialized group doing a really tough task. So we didn't run into too many issues, but a first lieutenant and a captain on the same mission, that could be weird, I guess, in some cases because it's a smaller, going to secure and inspect a bridge site. But we divided and conquered really well, and we worked with a lot of other services too that helped us, especially the Marines. They were with us almost every day, so very, very odd deployment, like I keep saying. But
yeah, that's what it seems like because I'm thinking about it. If you have like those many leaders in one group, I'm sure at the same time it's nice because they have experience, but at the same time it's like experience is what gives them different opinions on versus your opinion and stuff like that.
I like to say that we were smart about it, but maybe you could probably do the same interview with one of my guys, and I'll tell you that I was a you know what with a lot of swear words. But we had guys like my counterpart, my first sergeant. He had 30 some years of experience in the Army doing bridging, and then one of our other higher ranking NCOs was another whiz when it came to just the math and the requirements for doing combat bridging in an environment such as that. Because we had some proper military stock, but the rest of it was improvised. And improvised bridging in the way we did had never been done before, as far back as we could tell. Like officially, it had never been done before. So a lot of white papers. I think actually my NCO actually wrote a white paper on it. But what we had to do, me and my XO, is just 100% rely on them. They knew exactly what they were doing. So you would never have caught me or her walking up and saying, "Hey guys, why don't you try to do it this way?" That was not our lane at all. We just did the command and control and stayed the hell away from the technical side of it, which is how it should be, right? Making sure they were fed, making sure security was good, that kind of thing, and getting them what they needed. And but it worked. Again, it worked out really well. I was surrounded by people way smarter than me, which that was mission accomplished number one. If I'm the smartest guy in the room, we're in serious trouble. So
then just to, I guess because I'm not too sure what it is. What is bridging?
So you've ever seen the gap crossing where they actually have the boats and they push the bridge pieces into the water? They're dumped into the water from the transport trucks, and then we deploy these small boats, almost like patrol boats, smaller than the ones you'd see in Vietnam, but they kind of look the same. And then you push the bridge sections into place across the river, and then you can cross M1 Abrams, really heavy material. You can also raft them. So you take one piece of that bridge, load something up on it, and you can just raft one piece at a time across if you need to, depending on the crossing. So there's the improved ribbon bridge. There's acro bridging. There's a bunch of technical terms that I'm sure you don't care about. I mean, half the time I don't. But if you watch some of the videos on YouTube, it's really, really fascinating because it can be done very quickly. And if you look at some of the videos, even Russia and Ukraine war going on right now, there's a video that's been going around that I actually was really interested in, a Russian bridging attempt that was an absolute catastrophe. They did probably everything wrong that you could possibly do in that situation, and they lost. I think the count was like 45 some vehicles that are burnt, sunk, turned upside down. It's amazing to see because you watch how we've done it and you watch how that went, and it was just a huge mistake and just flaws in everything they did. But it was an interesting learning lesson because the cost was very high. I mean, I don't even know how many men they probably lost there, but 45 vehicles is a battalion and a half, something like that. So it was pretty severe. Made me appreciate just how much science and combined arms expertise has to go into something like that. So it was very educational.
I was going to say you would almost expect more from Russia since they're such a large country.
I think everyone did, to be honest, right? I think going into this, everyone was like, it's going to be like a week and Ukraine's just going to fall apart. And I think what's been proven is that despite the past, 10 years of modernization efforts on the Russian side, they did not change their training and combined arms expertise at the same time. So some of the equipment might be fine, but they did not train. They don't coordinate the way we do. Desert Storm is a prime example. Our Air Force and Navy shut that stuff down before the Army even set foot in Iraq. You know what I mean? And they don't have that same mindset. They just kind of want to throw bodies at it. It looks like, and we obviously don't operate that way. Thank God.
Our military is a little bit more strategic when it comes to.
I do think we're probably one of the better trained on the planet for sure. Same with our allies, the NATO allies. I think we hone in on training and war games. Typically, we lose war games, and that's not a bad thing. We lost war games against Russia too, and we're seeing right now that probably wouldn't happen in real life unless something changed significantly. But again, it goes back to show discipline and training are the most important thing we can do, and maintenance, of course. But
and the crazy thing is, it's a lot of the people are in the military make up like 18-year-old kids, basically 18 to like 22. That's like the fresh wave, and I always find it like when I look back on even my time, the type of responsibility we have or had at such a young age. I mean, no college. I didn't have any college at the time, so it's like fresh out
Sure.
of high school. It's like, damn, I'm on a carrier now, and I got all this responsibility. But then at the same time, like we went to the Middle East, and you'd see our aircraft come back with no more bombs on them or whatever warheads. Like, holy crap, like we're actually doing some damage right now. Like, it was kind of exhilarating. I know people are like, "Oh my god, you guys are like dropping bombs on people," but if you look from that sense, I guess it's whatever. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's part of war in a sense, but it is kind of like a surreal moment being on deployment and seeing that, and then they show us like some of the clips on deployment from the aircraft themselves from F-18s. They'll show like the bottom view or
Yep.
camera that they have, and it's like truly remarkable because I worked on the flight deck, and it's to see all these bullets, all this ammo, all these bombs get loaded on, and for them to come back with nothing. And then I actually see the video of them using them or
Yeah.
deploying them is it's kind of cool. It put like a purpose to what we were doing, and that responsibility level you take it a little bit more serious because then you realize it's folks like yourself and other uh, service members down there that you're trying to bring home as well. I mean, everybody has a role in a
Yeah.
sense, it's and when I look back at it now, it took me a long time to like really appreciate it, but it's like, man, I don't know how many jets I fueled up or how many samples I took of jet engine fuel that might have saved somebody's life down there on the in Iraq. Like hopefully it did, and
Yeah, no, you're
that's
100% right. It's all connected. It's just the connections sometimes don't seem like they're readily apparent.
yeah.
But it all, you're right. I mean, again, just to get back, we're seeing problems overseas in Europe right now in that conflict. There are logistics issues all over it. I'm like, I mean, I know the guy who did that for me in Afghanistan. It was a chain like 3,000 miles long, but I knew exactly how it worked. And that chain doesn't exist apparently in some other modern military, quote unquote, modern military. So, but like, in Afghanistan, I did, I forget what the actual title I had now. It was like Task Force Logistics Officer, something stupid like that. But essentially 45%, I think it was 30% of Afghanistan was my responsibility. And I had to work with Air Force and Navy. So it would be units ripping out, units ripping in, armored vehicles coming in, out, containers, everything you can possibly imagine. But I literally worked with every single force, I think, except for the Coast Guard. On a day-to-day basis. So when it was fantastic for me because think about it, you get that like 10,000 foot view, and you realize how complicated things are. And then when I got to Iraq, and then even when I got to Syria, which we had no support like that because it was, there was no one there, quote unquote, right? It's like there was 500 people on the ground. I'm gonna do a lot of air quotes for that. But that chain was a lot more complicated then. But the experience beforehand let me navigate it super smoothly for the most part. But it just is amazing how it came together. So everything happens for a reason, right? I did that in the right order because we were able to start off pretty strong.
And then for you, is it more difficult when you have all those different branches involved, like training or getting them up to speed on what you expect, or is there kind of like how's that
How it
relationship
is.
kind of work
Everyone
out?
does everyone does things differently. So I go to the Air Force and be like, hey, I got to fly this thing out of here, and they'd be like, okay, you got to do all this. And I would go to the Navy and be like, hey, I got to ship this thing out of here. Like, hey, well, you got to do all this, but make sure you also talk to the Air Force because you also have to do this. That was probably the hardest part. And then that doesn't even count what I had to do on the Army side, But I guess it could have been worse. We got it done. You get fine tuned to the point where I could move stuff out in like 24, 48 hours if I needed to because I made good contacts and I knew exactly how to prepare for it. But it took some time, like anything else does. And hopefully the guy who followed me was able to do the same because I had everything kind of ready to go. It evolves every month. It's not the same situation the guy before me was in. So he set me up for success, but it changed rapidly. But being flexible helps a lot. As I'm sure you know, you just got to be flexible and not the guys and gals who stay rigid just don't do well. And I think that's the hardest nut to crack from a training perspective for our guys and girls is don't be so rigid about things. It's not going to help you.
Yeah, that's man. It's funny. I was talking to somebody about that even recently, because somebody's like, "Well, you're really calm." I was like, "Well, I don't know. what it is, but I've been in some really stressful situations, as you're,
Yeah.
alluding to. The military kind of prepared you for, like, subconsciously, I guess, you get all these traits, like they become part of you, where like things out in the civilian world hardly bog me down, especially work. Like
Yeah.
if it's a super busy day, I'm sure for you now it's totally different because you have your own business going on. But
Yeah, it's a
um,
different stress for sure.
and so I mean, kind of getting to that a little bit, even so,
Yeah.
how did you get to the point where you're like, all right, this is what I'm going to do um, going forward. I'm going to create this business, protein bar business,
Yeah.
and like I mean, obviously the ultimate goal, I'm sure, is to have it on every shelf possible. So
Yeah.
what's kind of the motivation behind starting it?
So, I mean, just like you probably experienced yourself, the majority of options when you're on the ship or on deployment are limited, right? You're limited to what's there. And in my experience, the Syrian experience really stuck out because at one point we were out in the field, I think for 3 weeks straight, just about sleeping under the trucks, sleeping wherever, in the huts that we had, the trenches, et cetera, whatever. But all throughout, we were eating MREs, protein bars, and snacks that we got from coming from home. And protein bars have always had a stereotype that they don't taste very good, right? They're usually chalky, not great. Most still don't. There are a few brands out there that I would admit like solid. Like I enjoyed a few, great. Not I didn't enjoy eating them, but they were solid. Didn't taste bad, right? But I got home. I linked up with my brother who worked in the industry, and one of our first partners, who was a 20-year bariatric doctor who creates these kinds of products already. Just he has experience, and the reality is, like most of these brands out there, they're not very good for you, right? They use artificial sweeteners, preservatives, fructose corn syrup, things like that. And then there are other brands that are great nutritionally, but they just do not taste good. It's so difficult to eat. Again, I'm not going to name any because some are great and they're not my thing. They might be your thing, whatever. But they just don't. They don't usually taste all that great. So our idea was, how can we make something that tastes really good, but also matches the nutritional needs of people without stuffing fake stuff down their throat? So we came up with what is essentially a Rice Krispie treat protein bar. It's a whey crisp base that we mix with a proprietary marshmallow blend, and then we have various different coatings that we include, chocolate, fruits, etc. And then they're also packed with antioxidants and collagen. So it's a very unique bar on the market. The collagen antioxidants itself is pretty special, but the high protein counts. I think our smallest bar is 17 grams of protein. They're all whey. You get a little collagen in there too, but again, you're enjoying a Rice Krispie treat. So it's kind of what we call a snack replacement. So you're not eating a candy bar. You get something that's good for you. You enjoy eating it. It tastes great, hopefully, right? And again, who doesn't like a Rice Krispie treat? Although I did have one customer say that they did not like Rice Krispie treats, but that's psycho talk. That's what I said. I was like,
Yeah,
all right, dude,
I
I
mean,
don't trust you at all.
yeah, that's I'd question that person's
Yeah, I
taste
did
for sure.
too. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, you may be the first person I know in my life who's ever said they don't like a Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah, that's
But to each
wow.
their own, But like what I like to think is like any great product. Like I think ours is. It just started out what we thought was a necessity and what we thought was a slight gap. And it's a very very crowded market, but I haven't encountered a brand that's like ours that leads with our military history and our story. All of our names of our products are military themed. I'm not sure if you
Mhm.
saw our flagship bar was the Blue Falcon, which gets some interesting comments and stuff. But that was kind of the idea. Share a little bit of the culture. When you read the description, it tells you what's in the bar, makes it great. But then a little side note about why that term is hilarious or why it's relevant. What does it have to do with anything? The Moab, our second bar we ever made, mother of all bars. I mean, the easiest acronym you can come up with, right?
Mhm.
But again, we're still leading with that integrity behind the ingredients. And despite the supply chain chaos, we're maintaining that, doing what we can to adapt as fast as we can. We launched 6 months before COVID lockdown started.
Oh
So the
crap.
absolute worst time to start a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, 40% of businesses closed down over the last 3 years. I think a little bit more than that now, actually. So we're growing. I'm super grateful for that. I can't complain, but I won't lie to you. It's been stressful, and everyone else is going through it too. But we're we're even today. I think we've locked in some real big deals that are going to completely change our landscape, which is amazing. So good things are happening, but it's been tough, no doubt. But you haven't tried our stuff yet, right?
No, I haven't. But no,
I owe you.
so, though the craziest thing is also like
Yeah.
last night I was just watching something on YouTube, and then one of your ads came on. I was like, that is freaking nuts. I was like, how is this even happening right now? And it
It's
was a
amazing.
breakdown of all the bars and the flavors. I don't know who was doing the commercial, but
Is it the tall, lanky guy?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the F-18 pilot. Yep, that's one of my
So
partners. Yeah,
I was cracking up because like he was
yeah,
breaking down like, oh, this is the blueberry one and stuff, but it's just cracking me up like the food bar and all that stuff. I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is good. I was like, I like this. I was like, it's funny.
yeah.
And then
We'll make sure I hook you up. Just remind me.
all right, yeah, that'd be awesome. And yeah, because I was
Yeah.
going to ask you too, like where I know because you like you were saying you started just before COVID basically, so
Yeah.
things are moving. But where can somebody find your guys' bars right now, or is it online only currently?
So I would say mainly online, battlebars.com, really easy. Our retail footprint is growing like crazy though. 7-Eleven started with us recently. We're in a couple hundred stores there. Probably gonna be nationwide here. I'm hoping within the next 6 months we'll be nationwide. That's a big deal, obviously. We're looking at Walmart's Amazon competitor. I believe it's called Walmart Marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
GNC, Amazon, all those big names. We're just about to start launching with almost all of them almost simultaneously, which is probably a horrible idea. But but the ability to do that would be super helpful, obviously. But then across the country, we must be in about 1,000 gyms or stores or fitness locations across the country. I want to say it's about 1,000. So on our website, there's a store locator. You can always hunt down someone near you. And we're in pretty much every major metropolitan area, but it is we're not quite that brand yet that's immediately recognizable yet. But I am starting to get every once in a while people see this poll and be like, I just have one of your bars. I'm like, that is awesome. I did not expect to hear that, but yeah, from where we are right now, even from six weeks ago, is completely different. The retail stuff is just it's our runaway train. So you'll expect to see us hopefully in grocery stores and pretty much everywhere. Hopefully by the end of the year. If not, definitely by next year.
Which is exciting. Like because you were even saying, how protein bars. I've had plenty of protein bars, and like you were saying, I mean, you got to power through eating most of them.
You do. You really do.
And
No, it's no joke.
yeah, like especially on deployment, we had a ship store on our ship, and it's like if you can't get down and get a hot meal or whatever it is, and you grab a protein bar, some of them are probably out of date too. I'd imagine when you're on deployment, they're probably expired, but
That's actually one of the things I didn't mention. We are actually on the Navy ships now, as of about actually only 4 or 5 months ago. So we've gone out. We started. I think we're actually up to our 12th ship deployment.
Nice.
Now. And I actually just got more on yesterday. So we're starting to get some feedback from sailors. And from what I hear, we're kicking the out of one particular large brand that is way bigger than us. So I'll take that. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, which I mean, on a Navy deployment, that's if you're not working, a lot of people work out because that's all there really is to do.
Yeah, what else can you do?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I worked out when I was on deployment. I didn't do any gym lifting. If I go back in time, I would have started then. I would have probably started working out. That was the most opportune time.
It was the same way for me, though. I mean, Afghanistan, I worked out maybe twice a day because I had essentially an office job, right? What else are you going to do? But in Iraq and Syria, it did not work out that way because we were just always on the trucks or working. The guys were gym nuts. I was just excuses, right? But I just was always in front of a computer making some dumb report and then preparing for a mission the next day. It never ended. But we all stayed in pretty good shape. We lost a lot of weight in Syria, though, not by choice, just because there wasn't a whole lot out there,
Yeah, that's kind of how my deployment was. We're in like the Gulf and stuff like that. And then when you get to the Middle East, I was on the flight deck carrying, I fueled jets originally. That's what I started doing. So I'm carrying the huge hose and the nozzle. That was my workout. Got
there you go.
all the gear on, the steel toe boots, the whole nine. So it's like, I don't know, after doing that for 12 hours or 16 hours, you just want to, sit down, have a couple cigarettes and go to bed. But
exactly, yeah.
One of the funny things too, though, Actually, I was just talking to one of my friends I was in the Navy with, who are my best friend. Because he works out a lot, or at least I still think he does. I know he's been out for just about a year, so I'm not sure how that's transition has been for him when it comes to the gym.
Yeah.
But he was saying the same thing because he bought some protein bars. He's like, God, because I was telling him, I was like, dude, I have Battle Bars on. I was like, you should look these guys up. And he's like, yeah, I'll check them out. He's like, because man, he's like, I bought 4 bars for like $2 a piece, and he's like, they're the worst freaking bars I've ever had. But he's like, I'm dedicated to finishing these bars.
You get what you pay for, unfortunately. I'd be the first to say that we are not the cheapest out there. We're not the most expensive, but we are not cheap. But you get what you pay for, And that's what I try to we try to emphasize the benefit of that cost. It's not crazy, but we're about even with our competitors that we don't think taste very good. But those cheap ones are great because they're cheap. You will get the protein you want.
Yeah, but then like you said, it's going to have all the other stuff in there. I think they like a lot of people or business companies will like mask the ingredients saying for the protein, saying the protein, because you see the protein and you're like, oh man, that's awesome, but everything else in there's damaging or not really helping you out. So
that's actually something I learned when I got into this industry, which I have no background in, was that apparently I guess the FDA doesn't require you to list every single ingredient. There's certain categories, like I'm not sure what the loops and whatnot are, but apparently like there are some things like certain sugars that you just do not have to disclose as sugars, which is shady, right? I mean, I personally don't think that sugar is bad for you by default. To an active lifestyle, you need sugar. You never need artificial sugar, I don't think, but not disclosing it all is weird. So, one of the feedback I get sometimes is, I don't want to try your bars because your nutritional label is huge. I'm like, true, because we're doing that on purpose. We're trying to show you everything that goes in so you can make your decision. It's not, you'd be shocked, like how this other brand you're comparing us to, there's more than what they're showing. I'm telling you there is, I promise you, because they are across the street from us, from our facility. I promise you. But
I'm gonna have to Google. Everybody's going to Google it now after this. Watch.
Well, I mean, there's even some like our bakery. We share space. Like other brands are made in the same space. From the same spot. So we know what goes in there. I mean, they're coming. Some of them are coming through the exact same machine. Now, just like rollers and whatnot, nothing crazy, but it's not rocket science. It's not. But a lot of people are getting more educated about what goes in their body, which is good. We're seeing more and more people are looking for plant-based options, which is fine, smart. Even people who aren't vegetarian are going plant-based. So we're experimenting with a plant-based version of our bars, not to replace, but to supplement. We R&D'd it some recently. It was fantastic. It was really, really good. Really happy with it. Pea protein doesn't usually taste very good. I don't know if you ever tried it. I pick up on it more than I do whey protein. Whey has that chalk.
Yeah.
Pea protein really, really hits the tongue strong for some people. But we were able to R&D it. It came out fantastic. So I'm kind of hoping maybe within the next year we'll have a vegan option fully available for people, dairy free as well, which would be great. And just keep expanding, giving people options. That's the big thing. But at the same time, the taste has to be the best thing ever. If we don't win on the taste, we can definitely get you on some of the ingredients, but I think taste is our biggest winner. Again, it's a Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah, like you said, because there is that hey, that one person doesn't like Rice Krispie treats. So
yeah, whatever. I blocked him. He's done. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
That person's like, I want the bland stuff.
Yeah, all right, fair. I mean, you do you, man.
That's true. Most of the ones that say they're super healthy, they don't taste that good, or which is more often than not. So I'm curious to try some, definitely. And then I was going to ask also. So I know it's relatively new business, I guess, with about 2 years. COVID was 2 years ago, right? Has it been 2 years now?
You tell me, dude. Honestly, it's been such a blur the last couple of years.
I mean, let me see. I think I have it. Yeah. It's about 2 years now. So I think it was 2020.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So with that being said, is there other avenues that you're going to explore in like that market, protein, like actual powder protein or pre-workouts, after workouts or post-workouts and stuff like that eventually?
Yeah, we're talking about the options are unlimited. We can do anything that we want in that sphere. What we're really trying to do is hone in on the snack replacement idea. So we're working on obviously like a low carb version of those snack products that still has that good sweet taste, not high in sugar. It'll be low in sugar. We try to nail that sweet taste still. We're looking at options for children. So kids, funny enough, love our bars. A lot of parents have been buying them as a candy bar replacement because they're getting the sweet tooth done, but they're getting some good stuff. And the protein's not that heavy that it's a problem. You break them apart, etc. But we're seeing a lot of that. So a kid's version of our product could be in the future as well. We did have a CBD lineup briefly, but unfortunately our manufacturer shut down that portion during COVID. And CBD is still one of those things that the government regulates so badly, or not at all. I don't know if you knew this, but you get Instabanned on PayPal if you have a CBD business.
Oh, wow.
Did you know that? Yeah.
I did not know that.
You can't advertise CBD on Facebook or Instagram, which are the main two forms of digital advertising. You cannot advertise it. So it's a difficult business, but it's something that we have access to. We can easily recreate our stuff, but we're kind of focusing on the snack products. And then I'm also looking into potential, like you said, powders, pre-workouts, other snack foods like cookies, protein like bite-sized options, like for a quick snack, things like that. And even recreating some of your favorite desserts from like Hostess back in the day, like those little snack cake things, doing things like that, brownies, etc. I can do it all. It's just a matter of doing it responsibly, not burning through all of our funding, just doing that. And really what we're doing right now, we're up to 7 flavors, and we have an eighth flavor coming out in August. That'll be a permanent edition. It's a lemon almond. So we've been doing these seasonal launches every quarter, and we do unique flavors. Obviously, we had to do pumpkin spice. Duh. It's really good though. We did a maple butter pecan, which was phenomenal. We've done a lemon almond, and then again, we're gonna make that one permanent. So we're kind of experimenting with things like that, but we definitely are going to focus on our core product. But the sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, it sounds like. And the one thing that really caught my ear too is the kid aspect of it, because I mean I have going to be a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old here next month, and I think like when you go to a store and you buy them the treats, and I'm not sure if you have kids, but I mean all that. Oh man, so there's times I look at the stuff for getting them. I'm like, I'm not sure if I'd even eat it, but and I don't know. It's not the healthiest of options, obviously. Like you see fruit snacks, which is like my son's favorite go-to, but it's just a bunch of you look at the ingredients, it's like, holy crap, that's half of this stuff isn't really good to eat, and then but he just chows them down. Cheez-Its, Goldfish, all those types of things, even like just a regular granola bar. So like I was looking at one before that I bought. It was organic. It said organic, whatever, and I picked it up and it had like corn syrup in it. I was like, well, okay, or high fructose corn syrup. I was like, well, I mean, how's that necessarily
you can claim that was organic technically. I thought you couldn't, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that more.
Yeah, I'd have to double check, but it's something like that. It caught me off guard. I was like, okay, but so it'd be nice to see something like healthier for kids, even where you don't feel bad giving it to your kid, because it's something good for them and something they need, especially like when I think of even older kids that play sports and they're bouncing off the walls, they're doing all these things, practices and all that stuff, and it'd be nice as a parent to just throw something in their gym bag and be like, hey, here's one for after practice today or after school, whatever it is. So
we have a lot of high school teams that have ordered from us before. We actually had a few professional teams as well, but the high school teams, and again, it's like our blueberry, strawberry, and our birthday cake bar are kids' favorite. Like they love those ones. It's easy to understand why, right? But nice sweet flavors, and they're aesthetically pleasing. The strawberry one is bright pink, and the blueberry one is like purplish blue. They look really appetizing. But no question, parents want something that's better. And a lower sugar, lower carb, not as heavy option for them that tackles the sweet tooth is perfect. That might be why we shockingly do well with even our current bars. I kind of always call off guard how well they do with children. I didn't expect that, but it's a good thing. I mean, we found a weird thing where we're fitting into so many different lifestyles. It's really odd. We have bodybuilders, we have sports very active, like marathoners, people who do off-roading, camping, people like me who are just lazy and just working from a computer all day and skip lunch and breakfast because I'm busy and I just need a snack. You know what I mean? Filling all those different categories was not on purpose, but I'm okay with it. We can fit easily into the lifestyle. What more can you ask for than that?
Especially, like I live in California and everybody's on the move constantly. Like the freeways are always jam packed, and I mean, I just think when I get up to go to work, it's bright. It's before the sun's even up usually, and you don't have time to cook a breakfast or anything. So,
fun fact: California is our best state performance-wise. Yeah, by like a crazy margin. It's insane.
I could believe it because the hustle and bustle, so to say. It's like. You don't really have time to eat like a breakfast. Like I can honestly say, I won't eat breakfast when I go into the office, and I won't eat anything till maybe like 11 or 12 or whatever it is. Even then, it's not like a full on lunch. It's like a banana and maybe some strawberries or something. And it's like, okay, now I got to hold off till dinner time, and then that's when you start eating late at night, and you're just like, God, you feel like crap. But I've noticed too, like you were saying, how different like lifestyles are kind of used by your bar, and it's crazy. I was like, notice that you have some guys that do BJJ on there, some fitness people, and even it was a MMA fighter that was in the Marines. That's
I was laughing because before this call, I was just checking some of our stuff. Like you said, there was the jiu-jitsu guy. I forget. I don't have her name on top of my head, but she does bodybuilding and modeling.
Sierra Chow.
Yep. Yeah, like she is a great fit. I got some coming up that are golfers that use our products on the course because why not, right? It's an energetical snack and it's easy to eat. It's quick. It's just, and like I said, high school sports, soccer, football, it's just a really big diaspora. Is that the right word? Close enough, right? It's great to see. In fact, I guess the challenge for us is how do we market to all of them at the same time? We're trying to close any doors off, but funny thing, I actually thought that we wouldn't do as well in California when we launched because I was like, I feel like our imagery is a little conservative. I don't know how it's going to be received, but I think people, they understand that we're military, but obviously the military. One of my favorite parts about it is that we're very apolitical. At least we're supposed to be. So we're not putting any stances out there. We're just like, here's a better food option for you. And then I wipe my hands. I say, this is who we are.
Which is super hard. That's super hard to navigate too, because I have that stereotype just from people that I work with or run into all the time too. They're like, oh man, you were in the military, so you must be just a hardcore, freaking gun blazing conservative. I'm like, well, whatever. I feel like I toe the line pretty evenly. I try not to.
I get that all the time too. I get that all the time. And I own weapons at home. Like nothing crazy. I don't have a ton, but I get asked the same thing, and I was like, you should not make that assumption. Trust me.
Yeah, and
I'm about as middle as you could possibly be.
Yeah, I like to think of things with but common sense. I don't try to boast either side. Like I avoid politics as much as possible because it just gets so dicey with certain individuals, and it's like, man.
Well, that's what makes me more toxic though, because I'll wade into it, but I won't take either side. I'm usually in the middle, so it irritates everyone. So I'm just unlikable no matter what I do.
Yeah, exactly. I've had that definitely happen.
You're right. Staying out of the controversial stuff is sometimes smart, but we even did a fundraiser for Ukraine, and that was kind of controversial, which I was surprised but not surprised by.
Yeah, because that's been kind of one of those. It's been like a controversial topic because I think it started when they started donating or sending like trillions of dollars or signed that bill to send like something like that. So people really got pissed off with that. They're like, oh my God, take care of the people here. But
and I always tell people like that's completely political. Like, that's a completely fair argument. For us, we're buying body armor. Not really. I have a hard time feeling controversial about body armor. You know what I mean? Because it's not an offensive weapon, but whatever. It's neither here nor there. As long as people are helped in some way, like with food and supplies, like we'll do that anywhere really. And we've sent food, we sent stuff overseas, obviously in all the deployments as well. Kuwait, Iraq, etc. Trying to do that more. But yeah, it's a fun climate right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask too, because I know you said you already got stuff on the Navy ship, so you're trying to
Yeah.
try to get every military branch covered. I'm guessing essentially, or eventually get them all
Yep.
kind of covered. Like I know on bases they have the necks and stuff like that, at least stateside. So you're trying to get into stores like that as well. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
my goal would be AFES is a big target for me, the Army and the Air Force one,
Hmm.
because I lived off of those when I was in training and every base I've ever been to. That's like my personal goal is to wade our way into them one day. Take some time, like anything else, of course. And I think we'll definitely earn the spot once it comes. But with the Navy being a good start, I'm feeling really good, and hopefully we'll be on the actual naval bases here again this year. That'd be great. But just getting on the ships was a huge deal
Hmm.
because obviously we're a military-owned brand, and I've got 2 Navy partners. I want to be in front of the sailors and the soldiers and the Marines. I want them to see that we have a brand out there that's recognizing them. We have I don't know if I told you too. We have a charity that we partner with on day 2 of the business. They're called Operation Enduring Warrior. They rehabilitate police, first responders, veterans via physical events. They go to Savage and Spartan races. They jump out of planes together. Many of
Oh,
them are
damn.
combat wounded, but they are just like the nicest people. They're so freaking nice. They're doing good things. They're like what you and I were talking about. They're not one way or the other on all this and that. They don't care if you're someone who needs help or you're just someone who wants to help others in those categories. Then that's the place to go. So yeah, we partner with them on day 2, and we're trying to support them as much as possible simultaneously as we grow. Our goal is we just want to write a $1 million check one day to them. That's all we want to do. I would love to be able to do that. We always joke with them, we're like, yeah, it might be like 20 years from now, but it'll happen at some point. But no, they come with us to events and stuff. If you're ever coming to one of our events, you'll see them, meet them. Really, really good guys and gals. They're incredible.
That's awesome. I mean, that's what I like to hear. I know a lot of people love that type of stuff, and I think it's like I've said on a few different podcast episodes I've had so far. It's like the veteran. It seems like veteran charities or companies like yourself are really like taking the or grabbing the bull by the horns, I guess you could say, on like leading um, like awareness for any type of illness or mental
Yeah.
trauma that somebody's going through, and it's not just for military folks. So I've noticed a lot lately, veterans or military people have been like very inclusive on like first responders, especially. I always thought I've a lot recently. I've thought like, man, they just kind of get shunned when it comes to like the whole mental health talk and stuff like that. Nobody ever really brings them up, but it
Right.
seems like every type of veteran charity and stuff is starting to shed light on that, which is awesome because they deserve their respect as well. I mean, it's
Yeah.
still serving the public just as much as I guess I could say as much as somebody that joins the military. It takes a certain
Sure.
type of you know credit and wherewithal to sign and become a firefighter, a police officer, EMT, all those, a nurse, a doctor. I mean, that's the crap they see on a daily basis. Is
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. So
I mean, you're familiar with GovX. It's a verification platform where you can get military discounts. Have you ever heard of them?
no, I have not. No.
Okay, so GovX is just GOVX. It's really interesting. You can go on there, and if you're like military or a police officer or whatever, you enter in your information, and they basically will validate you as you've served or are serving, and you get access to discounts all over the place, like thousands of businesses. The big ones are on there, Black Rifles, people like that. You can get, it's amazing. I think even Home Depot and Lowe's are on there, if I'm correct. It's really neat. But anyway, so we have GovX on our website, so veterans, first responders, they get discounts. But one cool thing is we actually opened it up to teachers K through 12 can also get the discount as well. And it looks kind of funny because if you look at it, it says police, or it says military veterans, first responders, EMT, firefighters. Then it says federal government workers, and it's like teachers K through 12. And I can see some people being like, "That's kind of random," but think about it. I mean, like teachers don't get paid all that much, right? And they're working their butts off, and we know that's been a whole thing, whether they're underpaid or overworked. So we're like, as far as we're concerned, they're serving as well. You know, I know it's obviously not the same. They're not going through combat, thank God, but it's still service, no matter what. That's my opinion. It just looks different. So, so we opened that up recently to them, and we're going through there. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, my wife will love to hear that. She's a teacher, actually. So she'll be pumped to hear that, because she's probably the first to say teachers don't get enough credit. So
that's awesome. K through 12, I assume.
Yeah, she's in fourth grade, teaching fourth grade.
Yeah. My cousin is I forget what grade she teaches, but she does the same stuff. So it's an important job.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it. That's for sure.
I've gone in and done some like friends who are teachers. I've gone in after I got back from deployments, and I've talked about what I did, and oh my God, even just fielding questions for 30 minutes, I was just I was worn out. I was done for the day. So cool. I respect them.
Well, thanks, Ian, for coming on. I do want to say you guys have been on, for everybody listening or that tunes in to watch. You've been on military.com, BuzzFeed, Fox News, bodybuilding.com. I don't know how to say this one, so I'm gonna probably butcher it. Is it Fayetteville? How do you say that one?
Fayetteville. That's where Fort Bragg is there.
Okay. Yep. So you guys have been on their Observer as well. So you guys are crushing it. And that's exciting. I always love seeing veteran-owned businesses thrive, and I think a lot of people do. Honestly, just because I feel like when you come home, things can be a little bit rough. So it's nice to see that there's folks like yourself that are out there, making change and using your experience to help other people that have gone through what you've gone through, and the ordinary person, like you said. You guys are reaching out to a number of different folks and different fields, so it's exciting to see you guys killing it, especially when you started just pre-COVID. So that's insane, because like you said, a lot of 40% businesses closed. So it's nice to see you guys thriving out there.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. Yeah, we're excited to bring, again, maybe all veterans, but it's nice to bring people who aren't into the fold and they learn a little bit more about what's going on. And like you said, mental health awareness extends beyond the military and first responders. So if we can help someone else who just has their own issues, for whatever's going on, and they learn a bit more, that's great. And then also, if they also get a great, healthy product that they like eating, that's better as well. You know what I mean? So we're doing a lot at once, but the core product will stay the same, and hopefully the integrity with it as well. That's kind of the goal.
Awesome. All right, Ian. Well, I'll let you get back to it. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and everything like that. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I'll get you some samples out. Please remind me.
All right, will do. Thank you.
All right, thank you.